If you're thinking of buying your first home or moving up to your next one, there's something that you need to know. Builder bankruptcies in the GTA are up a soaring 57% compared to the last year. This isn't just a blip in the radar, it's a trend that you actually need to pay attention for going forward. In today's video, I'm going to cover what this means for you, how to protect yourself, and I'm going to give you a couple stories behind some of the biggest projects that have actually been affected here in the GTA. My name is Mike Carpino. As you know, I'm trying to provide as much value as I can for all the first-time home buyers and families looking to make their move in the real estate market here in the GTA. What you can expect to learn in this video here is what receivership actually means. A lot of us watching this video may see receivership potentially in the title, thinking, I don't even know what I'm clicking on, how it affects you as a buyer, specifically first-time home buyer and somebody who's maybe looking to upgrade, some of the real-world examples and these billion-dollar developments that have actually got into some trouble here. And of course, I got to give you some practical take-home tips for you to provide just a little bit more insight on what your investment could potentially look like if you're thinking about getting into the pre-construction market. So let's start with the main thing. What is receivership? And receivership happens when a builder cannot pay back their loans or meet the financial obligations that they actually have. So in a lot of cases, a court or a creditor will appoint somebody to take over the developer's potential assets here, which often includes some of these unfinished homes or condo projects. It could be a small project, it could be a massive project like we'll touch on later. And the receiver's job ultimately is to recover as much value as humanly possible from the project. This might mean a couple different things. It might mean completing that project, it might mean selling off that project, or potentially canceling that project. Now, if you're a buyer, this is going to be obviously very concerning to hear that it's going to create some uncertainty for you. Potentially, if you're buying a new build project and they could just cancel the project, it's something you need to understand is absolutely possible. Now, there's a key takeaway that I want you to leave with here. If the project you're involved in goes into a receivership, your contract might stay intact, which is great, or it could be canceled depending on the situation. So understand there is a wide array of options and possibilities that could actually happen if receivership does take place. If you've actually experienced receivership when buying a pre-construction project, I would love to hear your story and how it actually happened in the comment section down below, or you can always text me at the number here on screen if you don't want to share it with anybody else that's watching the video. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is why does this actually happen? We know what receivership is. Now we want to know why it happens. Now, there's generally three main reasons why receivership actually happens. First one is builder inexperience. Some new developers lack the experience to handle some of these larger scale projects, and unfortunately with poor planning and mismanagement, this can potentially lead to delays, financial trouble, and costs can spiral out of control. And for those of us who are first-time home buyers or looking to upgrade your home, maybe it's their first time getting into any kind of pre-construction project here, it means that you can have some unexpected delays when you're dealing with these situations. And you need to understand there is a risk involved in buying a pre-construction project. The second reason why they happen is unexpected delays. We'll go back in time 5 years to COVID. 2020, unexpected delays happen quite a bit for a lot of these builders because there was shipping being held back, there was uncertainty out there, and there was obviously supply chain shortages that we experienced quite a bit of. Now in Toronto, over 65% of those projects face delays of 3 to potentially 6 months or more during that COVID period of time. Now, the third reason why these are happening is the cost. The cost has gone up substantially to build, to do anything in the real estate market, and even beyond the real estate market. But since 2020, the construction costs have risen 51%. Yes, 51% increase in construction costs. So for builders who actually didn't budget for these increases, and a lot of them did not because they didn't expect this was going to happen, it's been nearly impossible for the project to be profitable. And sometimes the rising costs also means higher prices for the buyers, adding to more and more affordability changes. Now, I want to give you guys a couple different case studies here. I've got two in particular we can go over. I've got a Kitchener case study, and then I have one at Yonge and Bloor. We may have already discussed these on my channel in small detail, but I want to go into them just a little bit more here. So the first one is Elevate Condos in Kitchener. This is a 4-tower project, and it just hit financial trouble back in 2022. One building is 80% complete, which is great, but the other 3 have not even started. The developer defaulted on this project on $64 million in loans, leaving the buyers in limbo, wondering if they will ever see their investments pay off. Now, this is a very scary scenario to be in. Now, I don't know about you, but just imagine buying a condo pre-construction. You think you're going to maybe make some money, you had a great investment, maybe you even did your research and you trust the builder, and then you have the receivership issue happen, and they're only on phase 1 of 4 phases. The second project, we have touched on this project, I know, and it was actually even mentioned in one of the Amazon Prime real estate shows for the Greater Toronto Area, and this is the one at Yonge and Bloor Street. It's an iconic project. It's meant to be an 85-story landmark, which is massive. The land was actually purchased back in 2014 for $300 million, but some delays and cost overruns pushed the budget from $1.4 billion to $2 billion. So $600 million increase in budget. Today, it's in receivership with 80% of the units sold. Creditors still owe millions of dollars on this project. So for buyers, this means uncertainty whether their units will potentially be completed. These are 2 scenarios, and lots of projects are completed, and obviously some projects aren't. You need to do your due diligence when it comes to buying in some of these projects. The one in particular was tied to several people who have been tied to receivership issues when it comes to pre-construction condo projects in the past. So that's something that you can maybe get your advice from an agent that you're working with, maybe get some advice from the internet by doing your research and checking the projects that people were tied to in the past. Now, if you've bought into one of these receivership projects or any projects that have actually hit that receivership point, what could happen? Well, you could have no changes at all. The new developer could take over, your purchase agreement stays exactly the same. Best case scenario, everything closes, there's no issues, just a little bit of a, murmur or, patter in your heart at the moment when you thought your project might have been at jeopardy. Second is your agreement could just get outright canceled. Contracts are terminated, you can recover your deposit, usually up to $100,000 if you are covered by programs like a carry-on warranty. While you'll get your money back, it might mean that you've lost years and years of time. You might have bought something in 2020 and it's 2025. You've lost 5 years in the real estate market for your investment, for your home, or whatever the reason you purchased that property was. And the third thing is market rate adjustments. The new developer might offer you the unit at today's market price, leaving you to decide, do I want to pay the difference here? I bought for $500,000, now it's $650,000. Do I still think it's something I want to move forward with? And this is generally a really difficult pill to swallow for a lot of people. And you might be also combining this with a resale market that the prices have already gone up in as well. So these are the scenarios that you could be faced with if you are a buyer and your project is going through that receivership kind of phase. How can you protect yourself? Ultimately, that's what I'm here for, is to hopefully give you some advice where you don't end up in this situation. There's no guarantees, but hopefully by researching your developer, looking at their track record, going to their completed projects, maybe looking at some units in the resale side of things to see if you like the quality, that might be something that might be worth your time. Understand your numbers, of course. Work with a realtor. Don't just walk into a sales center and sign paperwork with the builder. Get somebody who can represent you and don't look at just your sticker price. Consider some of the long-term value when you are buying any kind of project. What does the long-term look like for you and for the project? Are you buying way, way, way over the current value of the neighborhood? You want to know what that looks like if the market's going to take a step back in the future as well. And check the land acquisition history. This is something that you probably don't hear all too often. Builders who bought the land years ago are less likely to face financial trouble compared to those who have bought this land in a peak market. Ask the developer about the land costs and some of the funding sources. Developers, if they don't want to give you some of this information, maybe that's a sign that you don't want to buy from their project. If they are going to be open and willing to share information with you, you're going to feel a lot more confident going forward with your purchase. Ultimately, you want to stay informed. You want to keep an eye on your project, drive by it every so often, see what the progress looks like, stay in touch with the realtor or the lawyer for any updates that you may have got from the builder side of things, and be proactive. Don't just wait to hear from people. Reach out to them, ask the questions to get the answers that you're looking for to make you feel more confident in your purchase. Now, if you're thinking of buying your first home, whether it's a pre-construction or a resale, I'd love to give you a hand, especially if you're working in the Greater Toronto area. You can always text me at the number here on screen. We can get started with whatever your real estate needs are. And if you'd prefer, check the pinned comment. I've got all my free resources there for you as the buyer and seller, and you can always book an appointment with me in that section as well. So receivership can be a complete nightmare, or it could just mean nothing ultimately changes for you as a home buyer in the pre-construction market. But I hope this has given you some insight on what the risks, the rewards, and some of the dangers are of going through and buying a pre-construction project without doing your due diligence. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.